Welcome to the SDR Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Klusman, and according to recent industry data, the average on target earnings for small medium business account executives is $4,500 a month higher than that of SDRs. And what's crazy to me about that is LinkedIn is full of SDRs stuck in their roles for 2, 3, or even 4+ years. And so my goal is to help SDRs make the jump to an AE role as fast as possible. And so on this show, I interview successful account executives to uncover how they made the jump from SDR to AE, sharing, maybe the right moves to make and also what to avoid, all to help you land that promotion in under 18 months. And so today we're diving into a success story with James Holadnak. He was an SDR at Brex for actually just 11 months before promoting to an AE there at Brex. How's it going today, James?
Excellent, Thomas. Happy to be here, man.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, first question I always like to ask is what made you get into tech sales in the first place?
Yeah, no, I think it's a more of question I've been asked more than any other.
Hmm.
I was a teacher for 10 years and I loved it. It gave me a great life. I had amazing memories and experiences, but the earning potential was pretty low.
Hmm.
And so I had to think of what transferable skills could I leverage to jump into a new industry and what had the most earning potential. And, tech sales had that alignment.
Hmm. Makes sense. And I know right before we recorded this, I was chatting with you, and my wife was a teacher as well, and she's made the pivot. But I'm curious, like, whether someone listening to this is not yet a SDR or is thinking about how they like can pivot their skill set. Like, what do you feel like as a teacher stuck out to you as transferable skills? Like, specifically, how'd you use that in interviews, even getting the SDR job in the first place?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It was my question too of like, hey, what do I know? What am I good at?
Hmm.
And I think you're really blinded when you're in a career for so long of like what skills you have that are valuable. Like listening, asking questions, multitasking. It's stuff that I did every day that I didn't really see as a skill.
Hmm.
And so it wasn't until I really took a step back to evaluate what I do every day and what I'm good at, and then how that aligns to, selling. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would think selling's about being like smooth and persuasive, and it's really not that at all.
Hmm.
It's, as you know, it's mostly about discovery.
Hmm.
You can't offer your solution if you don't understand their needs. And the only way you can understand their needs is by asking them questions,
Yeah.
and so being a good listener, asking good questions, being organized and multitasking, were all skills that are incredibly important as an AE, as an SDR. And so I felt like I had a really competitive edge because I had a lot more experience than a lot of the college kids that were also
Hmm.
applying for the same job.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And definitely like yeah, if you can listen to 20 people at once, it's a lot easier to listen to one person at once. So definitely definitely feels like that part of the job can be easier. That's great. So, okay, and then going into today, like that helps me understand kind of what made you pivot into tech sales. Um, what what drives you today? Like what motivates you to grind? What made you to want to get into an AE? Actually, before we get the AE, like what motivates you today to keep going?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I mean, intrinsically, I want to be the best of myself, right? Like I want to be the best version of myself in everything, including my work life. So I want to know the product the best. I want to know, or at least better than I did yesterday. I want to be able to ask better discovery questions. Stay on top of my tiered list better. So intrinsically, it's just like I'm motivated to be my best.
Hmm.
And then extrinsically, it's, unlike teaching, there's a direct correlation to the value that I provide to Brex and how much I'm compensated.
Yeah.
So I'm money motivated at the same time.
Hmm. Makes sense. What is the money like? What is it about the money? Is there a certain vision you have in the future of like lifestyle you want? Is it family oriented or is it like anything? Like what's like what's behind that?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, the why is so important. Yeah, I think for me, I'm in a great relationship, looking at the future, looking at even as simple as like getting a ring, like as simple as thinking about getting a nicer apartment or buying a house, having kids, being able to take them on vacation or get them new soccer cleats, whatever it may be. As a teacher looking at my finances, I'm thinking, I had multiple part-time jobs as well. I'm like, I'm just going to be working the whole time. I'll never be able to spend time with the kids or
Yeah.
my wife. I don't have either right now, but in the future. And then so
Yeah.
that's my why. Like I want to be able to live a life that I want to be able to realize the life that I dream for myself.
Yeah.
And money is a huge component of that.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense. It's a big motivator, I think. And I think it definitely helps with like, especially things that are kind of like beyond yourself too. I've just noticed that having a strong why beyond yourself helps a lot when like things don't go exactly the way you want. It feels like less catastrophic, and you just feel like more motivated to get to the other side of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
jumping from going from that, I want to hear like I want you to walk me through your process of how you specifically jumped from an SDR to AE at Brex, and I think that was actually maybe just within the last month or two, so pretty
Yeah.
recent. But I guess first question, did you know you wanted to be an account executive right when you started, or did you not fully know, you're new to the tech sales world. Maybe you were thought of like, I don't even know what the next step is, or CSM, or like, yeah, where was your mindset with that?
Yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, like almost a year ago, I didn't even know what SDR stood for,
Yeah.
so you're right. I didn't know what were the next steps. I knew that in sales, like the enterprise account executive, generally makes the most money or a lot of it or strategic accounts. And the stepping stone for me was SDR. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, that's ultimately, I want to make the most money as I can. Right. And so like that's a position where I'd be able to.
Hmm.
Now, I didn't know immediately if it was AE or right CSM,
Hmm.
SDR manager. And I think naturally people understood that I would be a good fit for like a management position, having the education background, right? I have my master's in education. I understand the psychology of like teamwork and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, but it just wasn't really filling my cup when I was doing kind of like the side projects of helping new SDRs onboard and whatnot.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed the autonomy that an AE had. I really enjoyed the idea of kind of not necessarily being a lone wolf because there's so much teamwork involved with
Hmm.
getting a deal passed, as you know. Um, but you're mostly focused on you and your own deals as
Yeah.
opposed to, SDR manager where you'd be focused on like the SDRs and working with them.
Hmm.
So I would say within a few months, I kind of knew like, all right, I want to be an AE. And then it was just a matter of what do I need to do to get there? And then being the best at those things to put me in the best position to be the best applicant.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense, and that kind of ties into the next questions I have, I guess, specifically around like what you actually had to do. But I guess before I get there, did you know you wanted to, was the plan kind of to promote internally from the jump? Did you see other SDRs promoting? Like, did you have a indicator that Rex had that option, or I guess that had a track record of promoting, or like, where was your mindset with that? Were you thinking about jumping externally if their options didn't present themselves? Like, what was your thought process there?
Yeah, thought process going into it when I was evaluating, right? I had the luxury of like having a lot of time to prepare. I was going to be paid out through the summer with my
Hmm.
contract with teaching.
Hmm.
So I didn't need, a job right away,
Hmm.
which allowed me to be really selective in my interview process. And one of the criteria was like, do you promote SDRs? Is this going to be like a churn game where I'm, busting my tail for you guys and then I have to jump ship? I wanted to stay in one place. I
Hmm.
chose Brex for multiple reasons, that being one of them.
Hmm.
They promote internally. Um, and so that was the goal to be promoted internally, but at the same time, I was also open, to other opportunities. So it was a check off the box that they do, and then I just had to put myself in a
Make sure.
position to be one of
Yeah.
the CRs that gets promoted.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. I guess a quick question on that. As you were thinking about it, obviously it worked out with Brex, and I'm sure you're glad that it did. Would you have taken another SDR job if you felt more confident, or do you think you would have stuck it out only to look for AE roles? Does that make sense? Question make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think due to my activity on LinkedIn, I received messages every day from recruiters
Hmm.
about other SDR roles. I wasn't interested because one, our SDR org is amazing. Like
Yeah.
our leadership there is they're just so cool and they're great to
Yeah.
work with. They really have our backs. I loved my teammates too, and honestly, Brex is a product that like sells itself. So
Absolutely.
you're less of a seller and more of like a consultant.
Mm.
Whereas when I investigated the other opportunities for SDR, it didn't align with the same level that Brex
Yeah.
is. Now the opportunities about AEs, I did look into those and I did interview and explored those opportunities as an SDR.
Okay, that's great. And obviously, I think going with, I always recommend people promote internally first. I think that was the right move. But just for other people who are like might be stuck in an SDR org where they aren't there is no path to promotion. How did the recruiters reach out to you from AE roles, or did you kind of like chat with them, or
Yeah, I never reached out. My LinkedIn is always on open,
yeah,
right? I think it's important to be open to anything, right? Have your door open and someone could knock and offer you something.
yeah,
That's never off the table for me. So yeah, I had a lot of my DMs, two or three a day
wow,
of recruiters, messaging. Most of them were for SDR, Thomas,
yeah,
but once I put like I think on LinkedIn you could put like what you're looking for.
yeah,
I think around like the 7 or 8 month mark, I put AE, and slowly those start to
that
trickle
makes
in,
sense.
and now it's only AE, and my head's down right now. Like
Yeah,
I'm not really investigating. I really want
for
to
sure.
hone in on this, but before I was offered the internal promotion, I was certainly
Always
open to
moving.
hearing
Yeah,
about that.
sure. It's crazy to not be open, but I think imagine being in New York um, might help as well, just as I think through because there's a lot of opportunities there.
I agree.
But locate, I mean, and if you want better opportunities, you should be willing to move for a job, and there's trade-offs to that. But thank you for that intel. And okay, going to the actual process you needed at Brex to promote. What are their requirements? And yeah, I guess like what we're as much as you're willing to share, I can ask these questions in rep view and someone anonymously can answer. But if you're willing to share, like what are the internal processes to promote?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was different for every Brex is a couple different like regions for AEs. Each one had different, requirements. One being, I think the biggest one is like your number,
Hmm.
right? You need to hit above, whatever percentage of your number for whatever consistent months, whatever it was. I knew that going in, right after that, like 2 or 3 months of me finding my footing and understanding what I want to do. I knew for AE that was the requirement. So that's how you get your foot in the door, right? You have to hit your number. So my number one thing was always the number one thing,
Hmm.
hitting my number. Understanding there are a lot of SDRs that do that, I knew brand mattered as well.
Hmm.
Do people who make those decisions know who I am?
Hmm.
Do they recognize my name? Can they put a face to the name? Is my name said when I'm not in a meeting? What are they saying about me? Like all of that's in my control, whether it's connecting via Slack, my performance, activity on LinkedIn. So that was secondary to me, right? Let's be the best SDR I can. Let's get my number so that when it comes time, I can say, hey, here's the X percentage I've been over quota for these months. And then it's either like, who are you? Or, oh, hey, James, what's going on? How was, your sister or your brother's diaper party? Because we've spoken before, so it's
Hmm.
like relationship building, internal networking, and brand, I think are obviously not as important because those don't matter if you're not hitting your number, but
Yeah.
that's the next step.
Yeah, I actually have been harping on this a lot just with my ex account and also thinking through just like and just in discussions with other people. I think to your point, like if you're not at your number, like you're not in the discussion, but that's kind of the bare minimum. And once you're over your number, I think whether you're 120% of your quota or 180% of your quota actually doesn't matter that much because people understand that different territories are better than others. So it's more of like that's the HR checkbox is quota. But then it becomes all about, your brand and your networking. So I guess for someone who's maybe at that 6 month mark, they're crushing it with their quota, but um, they're crushing in their quota, but like they're kind of like a heads down kind of guy, not naturally very outward focused and have a hard time with the branding inside of things. Like, where would you break down as like what do you think is the first and maybe second and third step? Simple things to do to actually like build that brand beyond just like hitting your number.
Yeah, that's a great question. It probably changes, depending on the org and what tools you have. I know for Brex, like our CRO is like so pro SDR. He's so
Hmm.
pro just everyone. He's like a real human centric person. Um, and he is high on praise. So if anybody has a win on Slack, like in our closed one channel,
Hmm.
he's commenting, he's hitting emojis. As you know, like there could be, I don't know, 100 deals going through a day. Like there's a lot of wins at,
Yeah.
in a company. And he is literally, I don't know how he finds the time or if it's automated, but he is commenting and liking all of them.
Hmm.
And sometimes because there are so many that he might be the only one commenting or liking.
Hmm.
I recognize that early on, and I'm also someone who loves praising others, like uplifting people, and I get energized by it. So it was easy for me to also hit that like button, send
Hmm.
an emoji. I didn't comment because I didn't have the bandwidth,
Yeah.
but then it's just me and my CRO liking it,
Hmm.
right? And so what notifications is he's getting? Oh, James Holadnak just like this. James Holadnak just like this. He's
Hmm.
like, who is James Holadnak, right?
Hmm.
I think that's a really simple thing to
Yeah.
do that makes a huge difference.
And
The
praising, to
second,
interrupt you, is praising others is also like it demonstrates humility. And like if you're praising yourself, like that comes like you want other people to praise you. You don't want yourself to praise you, but also when you're praising others, that also demonstrates a lot of like character as well. And so I think that's a positive thing as well. But sorry, you can go to
yeah,
the second thing.
no, no. I'd say the second thing I did was anytime I know how hard it was to be an SDR when you get a win. And our SDR channel is like super supportive. We have an amazing culture. But again, there are so many wins happening that sometimes you don't see your own wins, or sometimes you hit like a squall
Hmm.
and you don't see it. And so anytime I saw a squall, I would forward it to the SDR. And I'd say, "Yo, Thomas, like amazing job, dude. Like
A
keep it
skull?
up."
What's a?
Like a sales qualified lead, like after
Oh, oh,
you
that's
set
okay.
the meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think I call it a different term. That makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I probably should have said the whole app,
Different lingo.
but
No, so sales call anytime. So say that again. Anytime. If I
yeah,
was part
like
of the
you
sales
set
call.
a meeting,
Okay.
AE takes the meeting, and it flips to the next stage.
Qualified. Yeah, yeah,
We call it a sales qualified lead, and that was one of the components that we get comped on,
yeah.
and it gets lost in the sauce. There's a lot of different Slack channels. You're focused on your thing. And anytime I saw that, I did it for two reasons, right? One, because I know how hard it is as an SDR.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can like cheer someone on,
Hmm.
like that helps everybody. And two, I would look to see like which company just flipped and why, and let me prospect
Mm.
into companies like that. So it's always twofold. And I did the same thing for the closed ones. Like, yeah, I was liking it to encourage have
Mm.
Garrett see my name, but also, okay, that just closed one. How can I leverage that information to find other companies
Yeah.
like?
Build like an ICP. Yeah, for yourself.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then so getting my name out there with the CRO is one thing. Two, promoting internally, like, hey, we are all in this together,
Hmm.
gets a good energy about you. And I think the energy comes back to you. And then the third thing would be just finding time on people's calendars just to connect. You want to be an AE, hit up all the AE managers, hit up the AE director,
How do you do
hit up,
that? How did you do that? Like you just slack them out of the blue and just say you want to chat and
yeah,
like what was your agenda or like and how'd you prepare for that call?
yeah, just say like, hey, Thomas, nice to meet you. I'm James. I'm an SDR here. Would love to take 15 minutes of your time and chat. Would love to be an AE one day and just kind of get a better sense of what I need to do to put myself in a position to be a good applicant.
Yeah.
And all of them we're building a team. I'm solving a problem, right? They're like, I need
Yeah.
AEs. Oh, great.
Hmm.
So I get 15 minutes and I would go on their LinkedIn. I'd learn a little bit about them, right? Do some basic research. Oh, you're from Salt Lake. You played baseball in college, whatever it is. Um, and then just have a real candid conversation of, hey, I want to be an AE.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Who are you looking for? Are we a good fit? Some AE managers, we wouldn't be a good fit. And I'd say, okay.
Yeah.
Others, I'd be like, I want to work for you,
Yeah.
right? I want to be on your team. What do I need to do? Let's make
Yeah.
this happen.
Yeah. That's really good and brilliant. And I love just to add on to it, like definitely think that being candid with why you're it can be awkward if you just to meet, but then like kind of beat around the bush. It's like they know why you're reaching out to them. So it'd be crazy for you not to like be candid about that. So that's just one practical piece of advice I would add to. And then two is just like who like you can feel intimidating because you're like, oh, their time's so valuable, but it's like their time is like supposed to be directed at figuring out how they can have a team that hits quota. And so when they have someone who's reaching out to them, it's like that shows there's someone with initiative. So then it's like that they can at least decide for themselves if you'd be a good candidate. Like, but if they don't know you, then like that's a risk. And so if you are a good candidate, then like getting to know them is actually in their very best interest. So I think there needs to be a mental shift on how SDRs see AE managers as opposed to being intimidated by them, but see it as like them as like potential champions and which can be intimidating, but it's like necessary.
1000%. Yeah. And if you're able to see their calendar and I see, oh, Thomas is an AE manager, he is in an interview block for 3 hours a
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Hey, notice you've been in a lot of interviews,
hmm
looking for people with these experiences. Would love to learn more and see how I can apply.
yeah,
Like
makes
you would
sense.
reaching out to a prospect.
Yep. And then if you can, they give you their list of requirements of what they want to see in you, and if you can actually implement that and document it and show them when it's time to interview and be like, hey, when we met 3 months ago, you told me to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, and then you show that you implement the feedback. That's like a no-brainer. So,
Yeah.
okay, I love that. Okay, um, do you have a hard stop? I want to be respectful of your time.
No, we can go over.
Okay, I'll try not to go like I'll try not to go past like 9:35 or 10:35. Okay. What did you what did you feel that you did differently than your peers, and or what were you uniquely good at as an SDR?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, candidly, I can't name an SDR that I think is bad at Brex. I think one of the reasons why I think I did so well is because that level of competition, like everybody was so
Yeah.
good. And honestly, like the reason I was as good is because I just copied what they did.
hmm
Who's
hmm
booking the most meetings on email? Let me look at their emails. Who's
hmm
booking the most meetings and calls? Let me listen to their calls, right? So I think that maybe what I did differently, what was maybe unique, and this is hard to measure, Thomas, is like I think I was hungrier.
Yeah.
And I think I'm 32.
I'm
I need to
30,
make
so I get it.
Yeah, I need to make money. A lot of the SDRs were 25 or younger.
Yeah.
We had a dashboard with, I don't know, 12 different metrics like prospects added in a week, accounts touched in a week, right? Emails sent, calls made, conversations made, whatever. All of those metrics. I looked at that every single day, 3 or 4 times a day. And
Yeah.
I needed to be in the top three
Yeah.
of every single category, no matter what. So if it's 5 p.m. and and I'm eighth on the list of calls made and conversations made, even though I've dialed like 200 times already.
Yeah.
Okay, start dialing West Coast. There's not going to be a single day that goes by that I'm not in the top three across the board. And
Yeah.
so I know people who didn't even have that link. They didn't know there was a dashboard.
You're
That
like, you're
was
probably
like,
not going to share it with them.
I mean, it helps me if
Yeah.
you are better than I'm going to do better than you. So
No, that's
you're
fair.
just
Yeah.
leveling me up. But that was on
Yeah.
my bookmark. Like that
Love
was
that.
one of my first tabs. I need
Yeah.
to look at that because I'm gonna dominate in
Yeah.
every facet of this. So I'm not saying that I was more tenacious or hungrier than anyone else because that's hard to measure, but
Yeah.
a dashboard's one way and
Yeah.
I came to dominate.
That makes sense. I think that's like really insightful. I think that's probably speaks to how you got promoted so quickly. Like all these things together, it's like obviously there's not one thing that gets you promoted, but when you're hitting your quota and then you're well liked by management and then you're just on the top leaderboards and like the CRO knows your name. It's just it's a all these things work together. and it's not a
Yeah. And it's all
coincidence.
in your control, right?
Yeah,
It's all in your control.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, super insightful. And I guess two questions left for you. What were the highest leverage activities you did as an SDR? Meaning things that maybe didn't require a lot of time on your end, but had a massive impact. And maybe you've already shared or touched on it, but like, does that question make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I think I kind of alluded to it in the last answer. I think for me, the biggest impact activity that I ever did is connect with other SDRs and learn what they're doing,
Mm,
right? We had SDRs that were like killers on the phone.
hmm
Okay, hey, can we do a call block? Can I join? Can I listen in? Listen to their recordings, literally just copy what they're doing. Who is good at it? Who's the best at it?
hmm
Understand why, and then do it, and then just do more of them. And that was direct advice I got from my SDR director.
Yeah.
I met with him like my first month,
hmm hmm
and I was like, hey, what advice do you have for me? What unsolicited advice could you give a new
Yeah.
SDR? And he said, find out who's the best,
hmm
learn how they do it, copy it, and do more of it.
Yep. Dude,
So,
that was actually my exact mindset at my first SDR, well, all of them, but like just the philosophy I like basically I think I wrote down actually in a document as I left, which is like just become if I can do more quantity than everyone else and more quality than everybody else, then like why would I not be at the top? And that's just kind of like and the best way to do the highest quality is just like you said, figure out who the best people are, and then almost create a meta analysis of like multiple successful people, and then from there distill what actually is the truth of what works. Because there's high performing people who like sometimes they attribute their success to the wrong thing. They're very successful, but they can attribute their success to the wrong things. Does that make sense? But
mhm,
anyway, but like still copy what they're doing. But then if you get multiple people and like you see all those things work together, you get a really clear view of like what actually drives success. And then yeah, and then it's just a quantity game after that. Like once you iterate that you have to do the upfront work to optimize things and then you just scale it. So um that's really good and I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Actually I got two more. I said two more before, but I got two more now. What was one challenge you had what was the largest challenge you had to overcome as an SDR and how did you overcome it?
I don't know if I had like any specific unique challenges. Like you have like your objection handling and like your
Mhm.
organizing of all your accounts and prospects. I didn't even know what Slack was when I started. I didn't know how to schedule, the first time someone's like, throw some time on my calendar to talk,
Mhm.
I didn't know how to do that.
Mhm.
I had to literally watch a YouTube video on how to throw time on someone's calendar. Like, so for me, those were like the biggest challenges just as a career changer.
Mhm.
Um, as an SDR, I think it's just kind of like the basic stuff, but really like leaning on people, like I said, like putting time on people's calendar and learning how they do it and like record like, the huddle and follow it, being okay with asking your manager a lot of questions, really alleviated any sort of big challenges outside of like the
Yeah.
normal, hey, objection handling or
Mhm.
you have 1,000 prospects that you spoke to this week and they all said different things and how you're going to organize that and follow up. Which again, I just copied what the
Mhm.
great SDRs, and my
Yeah,
team did.
makes sense. So it sounds like
Yeah,
it might have been like the discomfort of not knowing what to do was the challenge, and just like maybe the potential embarrassment of not knowing. But the way to overcome that is like get over it and like you got
yeah,
to get paid and you got to learn the job, and so you got to just ask people, and
yeah.
makes sense. Okay, and then last question is maybe you've seen the charts on LinkedIn where it's like SDRs and then AI, and then it's like SDRs who use AI or the the SDRs not not every SDR is gonna get replaced. Just the SDRs who don't use AI are gonna get replaced by those who do, and who knows what's gonna happen in the world. But I just want to keep up to date with how people are leveraging AI because there's so much information and there's like ridiculous amount of YouTube videos for sales reps. But if you could just share one way that you're using AI either as an SDR or now as an AE, that's just like Yeah, just one tip that's practical of like
Yeah,
that's had a good impact for you.
definitely. I think I learned this from an SDR in my org. Um, just prospecting, right? Like, okay, there's a closed one in your org.
Hmm.
Look it up. Ask ChatGPT to generate a list of 25 companies that are in a similar space, similar size, whatever your kind of regions are, and then utilize leverage that list to go on your CRM and see if those accounts exist. Are they
Hmm.
available in your account pool? Figure out what problems those have and why why that closed one chose your company and
Hmm.
pitch, and then hey, draft an email for this and it'll draft it. I think it's like it's doing so much heavy lifting for you, and it's just
Hmm.
a matter of like how you're leveraging it really matters.
Hmm.
Like being strategic. Okay, this closed one, it's a great closed one for the company.
Hmm.
Here's why they chose Brex. Find me other companies like it, draft an email or a call track on a cold call
Hmm.
that would be relevant to these companies as well. And then see if those companies are available in your CRM and reach out.
Yeah, makes sense. That's super helpful. I think that's going to be definitely be one of the quickest ways and highest leverage ways to use AI is like really honing on your ICP, um, and using that to like figure out who you're going to target next. So thank you. I know we went over, so I really appreciate the time, James.
Yeah,
And
brother.
yeah,
Fun,
man,
man.
best of luck mid market next, and then EAE, I bet. So
Yeah, the,
yeah,
the climb continues.